The ship was assaulted by as many varieties of forces as there were hours, and the robots observed every attack attentively, analyzing such weapons as they recognized. They by no means recognized all. But the human masters had built well. It had taken 15 years to construct the ship and the robots, and their essentials could be expressed in a single phrase: raw strength. The attack spent itself uselessly, and neither ship nor robot seemed the worse for it. 3 said, "This atmosphere handicaps them, I think. They can't use atomic disruptors, since they would only tear a hole in that soupy air and blow themselves up." "They haven't used high explosives either," said 2, "which is well. They couldn't have hurt us naturally, but it would have thrown us about a bit." "High explosives are out of the question. You can't have an explosive without gas expansion, and gas just can't expand in this atmosphere." "It's a very good atmosphere," muttered one. "I like it." Which was natural, because he was built for it. The ZZ robots were the first robots ever turned out by the United States Robots and Mechanical Men Corporation that were not even faintly human in appearance. They were low and squat, with a center of gravity less than a foot above ground level. They had 6 legs apiece, stumpy and thick, designed to lift tons against 2.5 times normal Earth gravity. Their reflexes were that many times Earth normal speed to make up for the gravity. And they were composed of a beryllium, iridium, bronze alloy that was proof against any known corrosive agent, also any known destructive agent, short of a 1,000 megaton atomic disruptor, under any conditions whatsoever. To dispense with further description, they were indestructible, and so impressively powerful that they were the only robots ever built on whom the roboticists of the corporation had never quite had the nerve to pin a serial number nickname. One bright young fellow had suggested Sissy 1, 2, and 3, but not in a very loud voice, and the suggestion was never repeated. The last hours of the wait were spent in a puzzled discussion to find a possible description of a Jovian's appearance. ZZ-1 had made a note of their possession of tentacles and of their radial symmetry, and there he had stuck. 2 and 3 did their best, but couldn't help. "You can't very well describe anything," 3 declared finally, "without a standard of reference. These creatures are like nothing I know of, completely outside the positronic paths of my brain. It's like trying to describe gamma light to a robot unequipped for gamma-ray reception." It was just at that time that the weapon barrage ceased once more. The robots turned their attention to outside the ship. A group of Jovians were advancing in curiously uneven fashion, but no amount of careful watching could determine the exact method of their locomotion. How they used their tentacles was uncertain. At times, the organisms took on a remarkable slithering motion, and then they moved at great speed, perhaps with the wind's help, for they were moving downwind. The robots stepped out to meet the Jovians, who halted 10 feet away. Both sides remained silent and motionless. ZZ-2 said, "They must be watching us, but I don't know how. Do either of you see any photosensitive organs?" "I can't say," grunted 3 in response. "I don't see anything about them that makes sense at all." There was a sudden metallic clicking from among the Jovian group, and ZZ-1 said delightedly, "It's the radio code. They've got the communications expert here." It was, and they had. The complicated dot-dash system that over a period of 25 years had been laboriously developed by the beings of Jupiter and the Earthmen of Ganymede into a remarkably flexible means of communication was finally being put into practice at close range. One Jovian remained in the forefront now, the others having fallen back. It was he that was speaking. The clicking said, "Where are you from?" ZZ-3, as the most mentally advanced, naturally assumed spokesmanship for the robot group. "We are from Jupiter's satellite, Ganymede." The Jovian continued, "What do you want?" "Information. We have come to study your world and to bring back our findings. If we could have your cooperation—" The Jovian, clicking, interrupted. "You must be destroyed." ZZ-3 paused and said in a thoughtful aside to his two companions, "Exactly the attitude the human masters said they would take. They are very unusual." Returning to his clicking, he asked simply, "Why?" The Jovian evidently considered certain questions too obnoxious to be answered. He said, "If you leave within a single period of revolution, we will spare you, until such time as we emerge from our world to destroy the un-Jovian vermin of Ganymede." "I would like to point out," said 3, "that we of Ganymede and the inner planets—" The Jovian interrupted. "Our astronomy knows of the sun and of our 4 satellites. There are no inner planets." 3 conceded the point wearily. "We of Ganymede, then. We have no designs on Jupiter. We're prepared to offer friendship. For 25 years your people communicated freely with the human beings of Ganymede. Is there any reason to make sudden war upon the humans?" "For 25 years," was the cold response, "we assumed the inhabitants of Ganymede to be Jovians. When we found out they were not, and that we had been treating lower animals on the scale of Jovian intelligences, we were bound to take steps to wipe out the dishonor." Slowly and forcefully he finished, "We of Jupiter will suffer the existence of no vermin." The Jovian was backing away in some fashion, tacking against the wind, and the interview was evidently over. The robots retreated inside the ship. ZZ-2 said, "It looks bad, doesn't it?" He continued thoughtfully, "It is as the human masters said. They possess an ultimately developed superiority complex, combined with an extreme intolerance for anyone or anything that disturbs that complex." "The intolerance," observed 3, "is the natural consequence of the complex. The trouble is that their intolerance has teeth in it. They have weapons, and their science is great." "I'm not surprised now," burst out ZZ-1, "that we were specifically instructed to disregard Jovian orders. They are horrible, intolerant, pseudo-superior beings." He added emphatically, with robotical loyalty and faith, "No human master could ever be like that." "That, though true, is beside the point," said 3. "The fact remains that the human masters are in terrible danger. This is a gigantic world, and those Jovians are greater in numbers and resources by 100 times or more than the humans of the entire terrestrial empire. If they can ever develop the force field to the point where they can use it as a spaceship hull, as the human masters have already done, they will overrun the system at will. The question remains as to how far they have advanced in that direction, what other weapons they have, what preparations they are making, and so on. To return with that information is our function, of course, and we had better decide on our next step." "It may be difficult," said 2. "The Jovians won't help us." Which at the moment was rather an understatement. 3 thought a while. "It seems to me that we need only wait," he observed. "They have tried to destroy us for 30 hours now and haven't succeeded. Certainly they have done their best. Now, a superiority complex always involves the eternal necessity of saving face, and the ultimatum given us proves it in this case. They would never allow us to leave if they could destroy us. But if we don't leave, then rather than admit they cannot force us away, they will surely pretend that they are willing, for their own purposes, to have us stay.